Welcome. Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Fauntleroy. I'm on the board of directors of Maryland Federation of Art, and I'm very pleased to see all of you here. Today we're going to do the 2022 Art on Paper Awards, and I'm very happy to be able to introduce Daniel Shay, who was our juror for this exhibition. So
Absolutely.
and Daniel, I want to say a little bit about you and tell everybody about your background. And I know, Daniel, we were just chatting. He was very excited to be the juror for this show. He was found the art to be amazing. So let me tell you a little bit about him. So Daniel is a sculptor, painter, and art educator who exhibits and judges in national and international venues. So he's visually fluent in styles from academic realism to progressive abstraction. And he's the past president of the International Artist Support Group, IASG, and he's currently on the advisory board of that group. So in 2018, he was lucky enough to graduate, he calls it, but retire from the National Gallery of Art in Washington, DC as art services manager after 34 years. So while there, his department installed over 500 special exhibitions. So he has received a Smith Travel Fellowship to study the bamboo art of the Montagnard. They're people of Southeast Asia, and he got that from the National Gallery. And his first international lecture on his work was at the Pushkin State Museum in Moscow. And he just a sampling of media recognition for his work has been published on the Today Show, BBC, Washington Post, City Paper, Korea Times. And that's just a few of the many. And he really enjoys distant travel. He finds that as one of life's great teachers. So while at the National Gallery of Art, Daniel has been able to sketch and study in detail many great collections of the world, such as the Prado, Hermitage, Cairo Museum. And he was lucky enough to go to the excavated pits and see the terracotta warriors in Xi'an, China. So in the summer of 2022, his etchings will enter the collection of the National Museum of Georgia in Tbilisi. So again, Daniel Shay, former art services manager to the National Gallery of Art. So time, nature, and distance. Knowledge can be learned. Deeper wisdom and insight come from the most vivid life experiences. That is an abundant and ethnically lived existence. Reviewing this group of work, I was intrigued by improvisation, playfulness, and skill submitted. And from that coherent personal vision. So the artist, you know what, Daniel, maybe you should be reading this.
The Artist's Voyage.
There we go.
Okay, all right. Begins, I'm gonna have to pull this in the light here. Begins with movement and direction. Then with time, thoughtfulness, and determination, and arrival of sorts happens. A spectacle of deliverance to a land unknown before, even though we might be not have gone out of our city limits. We can, like Rembrandt, for instance, or Vermeer, they delivered some amazing things, even though they were very much local. So a blank canvas or a sketchbook page is a passport to a new country. In time, the resolution of a work is a gift to the community. And I think that we as artists not only do this for our own improvement, but for the community at large, artist community, and well as other people. Learning from contemporaries or previous masters is the key to the ability to present new insights. Art in nature, in landscapes, we witness the steady procession of the seasons as we see right now in the spring. And with that, the more seasons I think that we experience, the more insight we have. So, and if you catch any typos, feel free to make any corrections. Okay, that's it. So, yeah, what would you like to do next?
So, wow, what a wonderful resume you have and great background. So, Daniel, welcome, and we'll turn it over to you and have you do the awards. So, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. was very impressed with all of the artworks that were at the gallery there. They were just fabulous, and it was very difficult to make selections for jurors awards as well as honorable mentions. But I did make a number of awards, and shall we start with, do you want to show images? Then I'll talk about them.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And why don't we start with, you can go through these first awards.
I remember that one. That is a beautiful, it's a monster. It was just great. The Gator Dream. And I was knocked over when I came in. And I do not, Roz
is on this call too.
That's amazing. That I'd love to have a conversation with her sometime over a cup of coffee to know how this came to be. It is really striking. And I think that any of us who have ever seen these very prehistoric animals in person can only be impressed with them. And she
Yeah, Roz. Yeah. Do you want to unmute Roz and say hello?
Here I am. Where are you?
She's there.
Okay,
she's getting her. There she is.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm really honored. I mean, I love this image, and some people were a little surprised. It's certainly an unusual image, but
yeah. Go ahead.
I agree. The prehistoric nature of these creatures is fascinating, and I thought he was actually pretty elegant. He's an albino alligator. So he reflected all the colors around him, and I thought that was pretty elegant for such a big guy. He was a big creature.
Thank you. Were you guys introduced? Did you say hello?
No, I spent a lot of time looking at him and photographing him because I did find him amazing. And he was in an aquarium. There were a lot of beautiful fish in a different aquarium, but for some reason he was the one that really caught me. So thank you for appreciating him.
Just striking, the combination of representationalism, abstraction, almost like energy levels coming out.
Yeah.
That is wonderful, and congratulations on a technically superb. It's just very amazing.
Thank you.
Lately, there were in the show some really wonderful. Is Megan around? Really wonderful figurative works. And this was very impressive. And it spoke to me because of the technical ability, the somberness, the soul of the artist as well as the sitter. And I think that who was the artist who said that the human form is a temple of beauty? Do you guys know? Leonardo. He said the human body is a temple of beauty, and I see that in this piece. And he also said that even though he mentioned the eyes are the window of the soul, I can see the face also reflects that. Even though we can't see her eyes directly, we know that there is some heavy duty stuff going on here. And I think it's just great, just absolutely great. So I was impressed with the placement and the traditional media and also the human form. Just wonderful. Most wonderful. Questions or comments that you have if the artist is around?
I think Megan is on. Yeah,
I'm right here. Thank you so much. Your words are gold to me, truly. I'm so honored and humbled. I'm really pleased that you took that from this piece, because it really is spot on with what I truly personally was feeling while I was doing this portrait. I did not have a sitter for the portrait, so it just came to me. A lot of times when I do portraits, I like to take the approach of allowing it to kind of unfold before me. And
a family member or a self-portrait in some some way in some.
Yeah, right.
You know, you can never. I'm very reluctant sometimes because I've heard people talk about other people's work and they completely miss it. So I'm glad that you. If I'm spot on, that's just amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a beautiful piece.
Thank you so much.
Figure pose, Sandy Cohen. And I love the work of the old masters, the young old masters. And is Sandy around right now?
Yes, she is.
Sandy, may I ask you a question?
Please.
Okay. I think that I drew this model the night before I saw your show. Her name is Sarah. Do you know the name of the model? I might be
don't
wrong.
know the name of I don't know the name of this model. I've worked many times with a model named Sarah, who is very tall and elegant.
Yes, yeah,
but,
yeah. I will bet. You want to see a picture of Sarah that is on my studio wall? If give me a second, I would like to see what you think. Where are we? Okay. There is Sarah, and there are her gesture poses. I don't know if those are coming across.
I can't make them out, Daniel. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's try.
But no, I do not believe this was the Sarah I have worked with. I don't know if she's the same Sarah you have worked with.
Yeah, okay, that is understandable.
Yeah. And this, though I, for a time, managed a figure studio where our Sarah posed many times. This was done during COVID, and it was done from a photograph that was made available by a group of professional models.
Got it. Okay, great. Yeah. I'll put in a plug for the Hyattsville Figure Drawing Group, if I may. They have open models now. Of course, everybody's masked up, but if you can draw from life from the model, whenever you can do that, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Yeah, and this is just fabulous. Even in these times that we have now, artists learn to adapt and they learn to adjust to what they've got to adjust to. But beautiful. And I love the toned paper and the three-dimensional aspect of
Thank you very much.
figure. Okay.
Thank you.
Retiring in place, Dan Graziano. Is that close? Is he around? I love that truck. I think that when I saw that, it speaks volumes to our culture, to the nature of mechanical things that we have, and sometimes we need. Gouache on paper is a very noble media to work with, and nature is reclaiming what was once part of nature, iron ore, and taking it back to where it was before. So this for me has a lot of echoes relative to our culture, and I think that things don't have to be necessarily the whole orchestra to make a really profound statement. And I was really impressed with this. Very good. Any questions or comments on this one? Okay, why don't we go? Let's go on to the next one. Okay, Richard Bunston. Hopefully I'm close. Hatch. NYT newsprint collage. My guess is that it could be the New York Times newsprint collage, but it is a very elegant abstraction and very subtle, but at the same time, it has a great deal of profundity to the image, the way it's orchestrated, the way that it comes across on paper. It's almost like looking at a nightscape in some ways. Very naturalistic, very naturalistic. And I was impressed with the composition, the placement, and the very subtle colors, a very elegant color in the work here. Karen Tylick, old friends, watercolor. And this watercolor is the medium of the masters. And if you've done it, you know what that means. And the light here is just extraordinary. The way that it comes across. The friends here are, is Karen around?
Yes.
Good, good. I don't know anything about the location, but it seems to me that it's classical in some ways, maybe perhaps European, and just stunning, magnificent. And I think that there's nothing like a friend or a guide to bring us through and help us explore different parts of the world, whether it's next door, this may well be, or it could be the place of ancestry, or it could be a travel adventure. But amazingly well done. And when I think about the time, distance, and along with nature, this fits right in to the category there. So one old friend's just very striking and very symbolic as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Karen, what is the location of this that painting? Sorry to.
Thank
What
you.
is the, oh, it is a small hilltop town in Tuscany, Montepulciano. A lot of wines come from there.
Yeah.
I travel to Italy a lot. I am Italian American. And these two women, it was like very late in the day, very warm day, very bright day. And the backlighting was just spectacular. And I was actually sitting at a table having a glass of wine with my husband, and these two were coming up the hill. It's quite the incline in this town. And it just reminded me of all of the young girls.
Doggy here. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Sure. It reminded me of all of the young girls I see walking arm in arm, and even guys walking arm in arm. They're good friends when they're kids, and as they get older, it's just a lifelong thing. These people grow up in a town and they never leave the town. And it just was just so charming. And like was mentioned, the lighting coming from the buildings across the street and the oblique lighting of the time of day, the late afternoon, almost getting into evening hours. And yet it was still that bright. It was just a moment I could not get.
Right. And you really capture that light, almost like halos around them, and the kind of backlit there and kind of glowing, right? That glowing later day light.
And the sky was just so bright. It was positively white. I double checked my camera again. I said, is that really that white? Yeah, it was that white.
Right. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm glad. And that's a watercolor.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I'll have to see that in person.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lovely. Lovely. Our juror took off.
Yes.
I'm back.
There you are.
I have Ellen who needs to go out and come in, and I have a cat named Ouija.
Well, we were talking about the light, so this is great.
The door.
Great.
What is the great organizer in nature?
Light.
Aaron, what's a great organizer in nature? It's
light and shadow.
It's light and shadow. And I know that part of Italy very well. The Etruscans were the ones who, as you may well know, gave women equal rights with men.
That's right.
Way back in the day. And they were a very fierce and independent group of individuals. And the area there, Italy, was what's not to love? They've got cars.
What's not to like? Exactly.
They've got a few things, which are, if you can get over there, and you have,
Hmm.
Just great. And this is a beautiful watercolor.
Thank you.
And thank you for submitting. It's just amazing.
Thank you so much.
Carol, is Carol around?
Yes, I am.
I'm going to ask you something. Tell me about this collage. It is stunning, absolutely
Thank
stunning.
you.
I love. So you tell me something, then I'll tell you something. Okay.
Well, as you noted in your introduction, I often do transcriptions from other painters and use that as a way, usually a different medium or different kind of feel than they originally used. This is a transcription of Pastel by Robert Frederick Blum. No relation, but it was why I went looking at his work. And it's called The Scheme of In Red and Gray. And I was drawn to the composition. I often look at older paintings and sculptures and things for those elements of color. It takes me out of the palette I'm most comfortable with. It offers me a composition that I can work with and work from. And so this was built with painted and colored paper and used his form and composition, but a very different medium. His is a pastel and far more realistic. The original pastel is in the collection of the Crystal Bridge Museum. I've not seen it. I worked from a photograph.
Did you say Crystal Bridges?
Yeah.
That you got to go there. Rosie,
I would like to very much.
Rosie the Riveter is on view there, and that was taken from a Michelangelo pose.
Yeah.
So I would see what you can do. Put it on your
The bucket list.
Put it on your checklist, and you will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed to go down there. It's just amazing, just amazing. And what I was going to say is that if Matisse could see this, he'd be jealous. He would be jealous.
Thank you.
It is a lot of fun, but there is when you have a single figure, there can be a somberness and a focus and an elegance which is unlike a whole group of other types of figures. So this is just terrific, just terrific.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it says a lot. There are layers. There are layers of expertise, and there are layers of insight in your work here. Just great.
Thank you.
Again, it's great to see it. Something a little bit different. I wasn't expecting to see something like this, and just amazing. Just amazing. Okay, next. Whoa. To you, Tennyson and Friends. Brenda Silberman, Brenda around? If I have any questions, this would be one of the ones to ask about. I think that how we adorn ourselves, how we cover ourselves in terms of not just clothing, but with an intellectual grid or thoughts or emotions. And this is something I did not expect to see. So we are into the Juror's Choice Awards right now. And mixed media on paper, tea bags. Tea is a good thing, very healthy, and just a virtuoso performance. And I'm really, I had to walk around. I usually do a quick lap through an exhibition, any exhibition, whether it's at this museum, that museum, this gallery, that gallery. But this is the one that pulled me over right away. And I'd like to know what that person was thinking, what that artist was thinking in a good way. How did they come up with something like this? And that's why these works, the quality of these works was so impressive. And I hope that this gets a lot of media recognition and art and What else? Yeah, sales as well. Market recognition as well. So if anybody's gonna, this is an opportunity. And I was looking at some of the price tags. I could see that. I couldn't see who was doing it because those were thoughtfully covered up. But I saw the prices and they're just this is a good investment. Art is something you want to have around you. And this would, all of these, everyone in the show is something I would want to have around me on a daily basis. Okay. The next juror's choice, please. Yeah. Okay. Marianne, is that right? Summer Amber. Media is mixed on paper. Is Marianne around? I think Marianne had a couple of works in the show because I saw two that looked very much alike. This one was very impressive because there was more paint, less artifice, and more the architecture of the landscape here is built in paint and built in observation. This is something I could look at for a long time and enjoy for a long time. There's a freshness about it. There's the freshness and also a skill that's involved here, being able to modulate and delineate the forms. Just amazing. And looking at the right side, the amber or the Mars yellow, the little squidge of the same color on the other side is just a great composition. As a painter, which I used to do occasionally, but now I've moved into sculpture 20, 30 years ago. As a painter, I still appreciate looking at landscapes. And a landscape that I'm reminded of in a way is the American artist George Ennis, who's an artist. George Ennis, spectacular. This is also spectacular. Summer Amber, and I can see that. You got to have a feel of the atmosphere here. Just terrific.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate
great.
that.
Is that Marianne?
It is. Yeah,
see
thank you so much.
Green here. That's great.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Oh, you have been allowed yourself to be very effectively trained. Can I say that in a way that, I mean, it's just great.
Thank you.
Great, just great. Yeah. Okay. Ronald Beckman, media, oil on paper, and it's RaSoul. And there's a great deal, is Ronald Beckman around? A great image. And I think the human face can capture it with this elegance and with this simplicity and with its directness. And what is very subtle, but also very, very effective is the complementary colors. The warm brown, yellow in the background, and then the bluish purple shadow of the face on the white shirt. Extremely well done. And technically, the human face is technically demanding to make it come across in a believable way. And the face is something that I find, if you can do that, you can do anything. You can do anything. And as an artist, how many dialects do you speak? How many languages do you speak? You know, abstraction, expressionism, what else? Representationalism, realism. Those things, and this is very simply placed. So, and so often, simplicity is a virtue. Simplicity is a virtue. Think of many of the great artists, their portraits, and this is just amazing, just wonderfully done. Okay, yeah. Social climbing, media is colored pencil. The artist is Sampi Cicada. Am I close? Well, yes. Where are we? We are in the 21st century of America right now, and you can see that. And this is, in some ways, a nod to magic realism, looking at people, looking at faces. What face will I wear today? What and why? Where does this come from? What country did this come from? I have an idea, and it might well be our own country, and it might be something that we on media are often exposed to, as opposed to other more worthy individuals. But these guys have to be called out, and this is really, this hits the bullseye. Just great with that. And I hope that I'd like to hear from the artist sometime. This is very intriguing, and I'm often very aware that only an artist could speak for an artist. Now, what does that mean? That means if you're an artist, you've got to learn how to say what you're doing, because if you don't, someone else will say it for you, and they might not always be right, you know. So the second hardest thing to do is what? Write about the work, talk about the work. First hardest thing is to make the stuff. Okay, good. Linda Kolish.
I am here.
Where are you? You did that. That's Caryatids. And I have no idea. I do have an idea how this came about, but it's so refreshing. And I talk about a passport to a new time and place. And for me, this is it. What inspired you?
Well, it's probably, I have been working with my photographs of women from the streets of Europe for, many years, 30, 40 years. And I screen print them. And I just in the last 4 or 5 years, I've been working with the scroll form. And when I started working with this one, I was thinking, well, maybe if I turn it on its side, because most of my scrolls have been upright. And I immediately thought of the Caryatids on the Erectheum.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to use that form, the double spiral, and was able to tame my coffee filters. Those are coffee filters. And it is actually 3 layers. It's quilted, it's stitched.
Yes, yeah, I saw that.
Yep.
Multiple layers, and I think that, yes, this.
I'm very honored.
You're telling me what I thought about but didn't know. That's why I like to hear from the artist. It's only fair that they are able to articulate, and you have to talk about what you're doing. And I love the idea, time, nature, and distance. It's all here. And
yeah, the inside is actually printed with the outline of stones from the creek just down the hill from me, where I live.
that's the best. That's absolutely the best. And I think that going to nature is, it's us, but in a before human form. And just the depth and the endurance, if I may, is just terrific thing. So congratulations on this piece. It is, it's phenomenal, just phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. Is that our
Have we got
our final juror's torch?
Just remember going through, I think we've gone through almost a counterclockwise walkthrough of the exhibit. And what I enjoyed about it was being able to, I don't know if you guys knew it, but I was able to snatch one of the rolling chairs from the offices and sit in the gallery and just roll around, look at the stuff. And there's no reason why I can't have a good time too. And it was, and be comfortable. It was great, absolutely great to see the work. And how are we doing? I think we're doing okay on time. If anyone,
yeah, we're doing well.
If anyone has any questions, this would be the time to ask, unless there's something else you want to talk about.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions?
Caryatids, just phenomenal, just phenomenal. Thank you.
You can always put your questions in the chat as well. If you have a question at the bottom, there's a chat or.
Daniel, this is Carol. You said you've moved to sculpture. What medium are you using, and why a move to sculpture?
Good question. And there are multiple answers. And it got to the point where when I was painting away on a painting, it flapped back and forth. And I said, wait a minute, and so I went from there to wood. And I went from there to bamboo. And my second government gig was at the National Gallery of Art for 34 years. Before that, I was in Southeast Asia. And I worked with the Montagnards. And bamboo there is a very important part of their everyday existence, from utilitarian to actually weaponry. So the Montagnards inspired me, and I've been working with bamboo for about maybe 20, 25 years. The last group of bamboo came from northern China a number of years ago, and I've been working with that. It's over, I think it's grown to be over 100 feet tall in certain areas. And so I've been working with that. The last piece that I'm happy with was a Sentinel that was based on bamboo from northern China. So bamboo is I'll stop talking in a second. Bamboo is a poem before it's a work of art. Okay?
Wonderful. What region are the Montagnards? Where do they live?
They are they're like I'd call, they're just like the indigenous cultures of America, of North America. And
Are they in like Vietnam,
Central,
Laos, Thailand, or?
Yes, and yes, yeah.
Mhm.
And they were there first, and they did not like. I gotta wash myself. They didn't like the North or South Vietnamese, and I studied the Northern Vietnamese dialect for a long time before I went over. But the Montagnards loved the Americans, if you can imagine that. So they were a huge influence, huge influence.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure, sure.
I asked that question in part because using Linda's, which is up on the screen right now, and the earlier sculptural piece with the tea bags, the artist's name, I'm embarrassed to say I've forgotten, that moving from that two-dimensional things that I frequently do, although I do some sculpting, but a lot of our work here in the show are on that flat surface. Moving into that two-dimensional or three-dimensional kind of surface is fun, a little intimidating with paper. I can't seem to control it as well as Linda does. So it intrigues me, the nice mix in this show of things that move off that those two dimensions and move into the third. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd say this is a great point. That's a great point. Linda, thank you. It's good. Good. Any other questions?
Anyone else have questions about their piece? Maybe it wasn't shown here, but Julie could possibly pull it up if you have any questions about a work you submitted. Oh, there's the tea bag, the one that used the tea bags in there.
That is another one that's just.
Yeah, Carol just mentioned
so
that, right?
So insightful and just a delight. Tea with Tennyson and Friends. Very intriguing, very intriguing. Can you imagine what it must have been like to have tea with Tennyson and his friends? That would have been fun. It would have been a lot of fun.
Wonderful.
Great.
I didn't know. I
go
saw
ahead.
that there was a Dan that joined. That it just says Dan's iPhone. I didn't know if that was Dan Graziano or not. I think we lost him.
There. Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you are.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, thank you so much for the honorable mention.
You're most welcome. Tell me what inspired your work.
Well, I love doing trucks and cars and those types of objects. I did a series a few years ago of really abandoned trucks. And I worked from photos I took of those trucks that I found in the field. And I took them head on so that they were almost like portraits of these old trucks that were just sort of rusting in the field. And I just love the way the light hits it, the color of the rusted metal, a little bit of the reflection from the chrome and the lights and things like that. Plus, it's just
I may have mentioned,
you know, it's
who's a great
it's
organizer?
the age of
Who's a great organizer in nature? It's not your mom. It is light, and you captured light very effectively with this piece. Wonderfully done, light and shadow.
Well, that's always what attracts me to a composition is strong light and shadow, and that gives it a three-dimensional quality.
Mhm. Great, great, nice, very very strong work. Understated, but just spectacular. Just wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Most welcome. Glad. Thank you for submitting that to the show. It's just amazing. And I think that you got to get out. You got to get out. Did you go out in the field to photograph or paint this or draw it?
Oh yeah, you know, when I'm out driving, as I said, I did a series of trucks a few years ago, and you know, my radar is always up for when I see these types of things, and I'll pull over and I'll take a photo with my iPhone, and at some point I'll take that home and do that. So I did this little 6x6. My wife and I were in Virginia celebrating our anniversary, and I did it in gouache.
What year? May I ask?
This was last December.
So 2 or 3 years.
This past December.
Great, great.
What was?
How many years? What celebration? What year?
Oh, how many years?
Yeah, is that am I asking the right guy here? Come on.
Anniversary
Yes,
years.
Where's the missus?
That would have been the 21st year.
There we go. All right, all right. Think about it. But this is just, you know, what happens if a highway patrolman, Dan, stops and sees you, you know, out in the field. You show him your creative license, and it'll be just fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I keep an eye out for the highway patrol.
Show him your creative license. Say, here's my phone. Take a look. You know. Okay, good.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, I enjoy seeing the piece and talking with you guys too. All of you, being able to talk with you is the best. Almost as good as you being there, but not quite. You know, well, there'll be times when we get together, and it'll be great.
Yeah, that's great. This is wonderful conversation. It's so nice to hear the artists and you be able to interact with them. It's fabulous. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you so much for making this happen. And also thank you, the artists who were able to hop on the technology here and make it work. I really enjoyed talking with you. That's the only time I learn anything is when I hang out with you guys, you know?
Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Michelle.
Yep.
And Julie.
Yes. And Julie for running the show. So
thank you all.
Yeah,
thank you all for joining and for all your fabulous artwork and for submitting, and we all have time to go in the gallery and see this great exhibit. So Daniel, thank you again for all your work on this and choosing among all the fabulous submissions and coming up with such a great show.
Very
can't wait to see it.
It was
Yeah.
quite fast. I'll tell you what, it's great. It's great. And thank you for a very smooth operation. It's just good.
All right, great. Well, Maryland Federation Art, thanks all of you, and we appreciate all of you. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah,
Okay,
All right.
thank
hope
you.
so.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.